Hey, now we're going to do social studies. So you need your social studies book, and we're going to read lesson 4 together. That's on page 138, and then we'll go over the questions I asked you to answer. So lesson 4, connecting communities. Go ahead and read along with me. You can either read silently or out loud if you need to. Bobby's family has lived in Missouri for a long time. Years ago, it took people a long time to travel and visit one another. They did not have telephones or email. Times have changed. So if you look at the picture that Bobby's holding up, that's a horse and wagon, and that's how they used to travel. And if you had one of those, you had money, because most people use their feet. And now people use cars, right? So it has definitely changed. Page 139. Transportation is the moving of goods and people from place to place. Long ago, Bobby's family used horses to pull wagons on dirt roads. Transportation was very slow, and it was not easy to cross certain landforms. Technology has made transportation faster and easier. Now there are paved roads and cars. Bobby flies in a plane to visit relatives far away. So imagine going to Grandma's house in San Francisco with a horse and a wagon and having to go over mountains, or going down to Mexico with a horse or a wagon and having to go through the hot desert, right? It would take a long time. There weren't a lot of hotels or even towns on the way, so not a lot of places to stop and rest. So let's look at the reading check. How is transportation today different from long ago? Good, it's faster because we have cars and paved roads and planes, and it's easier because we have cars and paved roads and planes. If you've ever traveled on a dirt road, you know it's very, very bumpy. So imagine doing that on a horse or in a wagon. So without the shock of the rubber tires, the shock absorption of the rubber tires. Okay, let's turn the page. Page 140, communication changes. Communication is the sharing of ideas and information. Liz's grandparents live in China. Even though China is far away, Liz's family can keep in touch with them by letters, telephone, and email. Long ago, people could only write letters to friends and family who lived far away. Their letters had to travel over land or by ship. This could take a long time. We are talking months. And now it's in a matter of seconds. Even when I was young, when you called somebody on long distance, you had to shout because the connection wasn't very good. So I always know when my grandma from back east called, my parents would always be shouting into the phone, and you knew Grandma McKnight was on the phone because that was the only way she could hear them, because the connection was so bad. Now it's like they're in the next room. Page 141, technology has created new ways of communication that connect people. Today, television, radio, and the internet let us know what is happening all over the world. What are some ways of communication people use today? So how do you communicate with people? Do we still write letters? Rarely. We write emails now. So very rarely you'll get something in the mail. But we use telephones. But we even use telephones differently than we used when this book was written. Now we use telephones as cameras and computers and gaming systems, right? We don't just talk on a telephone. A telephone when I was a kid was just for talking, and that was it. You couldn't do anything else. We use the internet, right? We can communicate through all different kinds of social media now, not just email. We can communicate through Snapchat and Facebook and Instagram and all of those. And we can communicate with video like I'm doing now. And you can even talk one-on-one with video. When I was a kid, this was on the Jetsons, the cartoon The Jetsons. It wasn't like this at all. Couldn't do this. We never thought this would happen. And television is a way people can communicate. We still get our news off the television and the radio. We still get our news off the radio. So what I need you to do is answer number 1 and number 2 in complete sentences. So number 1 says, how have transportation and communication changed over time? Well, course I did this. Why would I not? Okay, so let's look at page 139. 139. Let's look at the second paragraph. Technology has made transportation faster and easier. There are now paved roads and cars. Bobby flies in a plane and to visit relatives far away. So technology has made transportation faster and easier. Do you think it's the same for communication? Do you think technology has made communication faster and easier? Yes. So that would be that, faster and easier. And then number 2 says, what is one tool that has made communication faster? So one tool that has made communication faster is, and let's look on page 140. Communication is the sharing of ideas and information. Liz's grandparents live in China. Even though China is far away, Liz's family can keep in touch with them by letters, telephone, and email. Long ago, people could only write letters to friends and family who lived far away. Their letters had to travel over land or by ship. This could take a long time. So long ago, they still used letters. So we're trying to find out what has made it faster now in our time. So what tool has made communication faster? So there are 2 other things there that you can use on that sentence, but not letters, okay, because they had letters long ago. So what makes it faster than letters? What's faster than letters? Of course, now you can get your mail the next day, but it's not instant like the other 2, okay? So I will upload this, send it. If you do this, you don't need to write it on another piece of paper, and you don't need to answer it on another piece of paper and then do this, okay? It's the same thing. This is what I asked you to do last night in the email. So just do this. Or if you decide to do your own, and don't do this, but don't do both because that's double work, okay? And that's social studies.